Hello and welcome to our 7th installment at the She Interviews for our Work School COVID. We're all here this evening. We're joined by a very special guest. Elizabeth Nader is our mindset maven this evening. We're so looking forward to our conversation with you tonight, Elizabeth, because I feel like we're all going to greatly benefit from what you have to say, particularly about this situation, and to our friends at home who are moms in particular.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much, Jess, guys. Glad to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, thanks for
Absolutely.
coming.
All right, so I'm just going to jump right in, Elizabeth. I have a situation that I feel like is probably very similar to the women who are watching at home, and we don't want to discount our dads. Shout out to Adam last week. Thank you. But the parents may be at home, but particularly the women. I have been working now from home. I'm a high school English teacher. I've been working for 3 weeks at home. I teach 5 classes a day. I also have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old who are virtually learning with me. Okay. And I like to think that I'm an incredible multitasker, that I am on top of things. I'm also, type A, Enneagram 3. If you do that, that is what and I just can't keep up with anything. 3 days ago, I had a meltdown, which is so unlike me, right? But I had to lock myself in my bedroom for an hour and be like, no one asked me any questions, none of the things, all evening.
Yeah.
So what am I doing wrong? I'm a career lady. I love my job. I love my kids, but this is not sustainable or working for me.
I have to kind of laugh because as I'm hearing you talk, I feel like this is a modern Dear Abby. Like,
right?
You just literally wrote a letter to Ann Landers or Dear Abby. Do you guys am I aging myself?
No, I remember. I'm like, please help me.
Okay, because if you guys said, I don't know who that is, I'm just turning this off and really retiring because I don't think the younger generation knows, but really this is the modern day issue, right? So if you're not alone, you're not alone. I mean, and by the way, kudos at how together you are right now because you're sitting there so calm. And that's the look that we get after a while when we say, one more mommy, just one more mommy is all right.
Yeah.
It's I think your struggle, while the details are different, it's just what everyone is going through now. It's not just the pandemic. It's not just being home. It's the fact that as women, we have taken on more and more and more. And we are gifted multitaskers. I know for sure that, that you guys are the same as I am in that way, because I don't really know many women who aren't, right? But it doesn't always work in our favor. So I think in general, we have to step back here because we're expected to do everything right now, more so than ever. And no one out there is really advocating for us. The schools are not saying, oh, let's make this, no, in defense of them, they have to do what they have to do, but let's make this easy for the parents. No, here's your computer, or even if they even do that. And, here's the schedule, and we're going to send you 10,000 emails a day and try to figure out where the links are and make sure they do X, Y, Z. So no one is really giving you a chance to breathe. And unfortunately, we are our own worst enemy because we set this picture in our mind of how our family's going to run, how our career is going to run, how our kids are going to be, how our laundry is going to get done, how we're going to cook, clean, shop, whatever. And the truth is, do you guys feel like you're hitting it 100% in all those categories?
Never.
We never were, but this situation now has highlighted that, highlighted this difference between where we think. You ever seen that on Facebook, like what I think I look like and what I really look like? Right?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of what it is. Because in our mind, we're like juggling all this and we're a super mom. And, we're incredible women. We do a lot. But the truth is we're not there 100%. So I, the past few months I've looked at that and said, so many times I said to my husband, all right, I didn't cook dinner tonight. I feel like I didn't get it together. I have 4 teenagers. They eat me out of house and home. Why am I not like down there cooking, big dinners every single night? Because I'm working, because I'm, doing all this stuff for our companies. And so, we try, right? But we just keep falling short. Or maybe we did that well, but we didn't get the kids new shoes and they're still shoving their feet into shoes that are, a size too small, or we forgot to do something else, or we're late on a project. It's always something. So what I do is tools. I like to give people tools, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
give us
I
some
like to
tools,
give
please.
people something that they can work with to at least bring their mindset to a place where they can exhale and say,
Yeah.
I'm okay, I have a plan.
Yeah.
So one of the tools I use is you take like a pie chart and I'd usually use like 6 pieces of the pie and I label them. Family, you can get more granular than that. You could do, house cleaning if you want. You do career, you could do homeschooling or virtual school, whatever. You label the pieces of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
Then you indicate sort of how satisfied are you right now with that? Are you 30%, 50%, 80%? How satisfied are you with it? Maybe finances is another piece of the pie, right? Different pieces. Maybe even your friendships. Let's not forget that. Wow. I mean, that's a piece that, our social lives have just been obliterated and we need those. So how satisfied are you? Why do that exercise? Because I think when we do that, we can see that in some cases we're doing all right. If we're 80% with, let's say, keeping the house together, maybe we can just stay there and stop beating ourselves up about the delta. But if we're 10% satisfied with what's going on with our kids and their virtual learning, then we know that that's where we focus our attention. You only have so much attention. You only have so many hours in the day. We cannot go to bed every night beating ourselves up for what we didn't do. So we need to make choices. Life is about choice. That's what it is. It's a series of small choices every day. And so I think when you start to step back and you say, I'm 80% or I'm 70%, are you willing to say that's enough right now? Are you willing to say, I'm good there, but I'm not good in my marriage. We don't spend any time together. I need to focus there. I'm not good, with my kids and their, whatever, in their learning situation. My career, I'm doing okay. I'm not killing it, but I'm all right. So maybe I'll do 1 or 2 things, but it's literally setting these goals for you. And I think when you see it visually, you say, all right, I can put my arms around this and I can focus where I need to, and I can see small incremental improvements. And that way we're not just at the end of the day falling into bed exhausted saying, well, I dropped the ball all over the place. So that's one tool that hopefully can help people.
Can I now, I mean, because I can vary, and I'm sure everybody relates to this, like there will be some days where I'm like, yes, I'm killing everything. I'm Wonder Woman. I'm amazing at this. And there's some days where I'm like, I suck at all the things. I'm terrible at all the things. I should have just, stayed home, not done anything, etc. Do you suggest this tool or this resource, this percentage pie piece, to be a daily practice or like a weekly one? Because some of us, we can't even figure out, like what kind of shoes we're wearing for the day. So when should we be doing this?
Yeah, I think it's a vision. I think it's almost like a vision board type thing. So I think you do it and you put it in front of you. You put it on your office wall or you put it somewhere where sometimes you need to look at it and say, okay, let me readjust. I don't know about you, but I find myself sometimes throughout the day, but definitely throughout the week, readjusting and stepping back and saying, why am I spending all this effort over here that has no, that's not giving me what I need when I could be doing something else? What we do is instead of doing the important, we do the urgent. And we do that so much that the important stagnates. So yes, there are urgent things, but if you continue to ignore the important, which are the goals you set, that you said I'm only 20% in this category, I want to work. So you set up maybe 3 things that'll take you to 80%, right? Yeah. Those are important, but the urgent is screaming in our ear, and the urgent is always pulling us away. And if we don't balance that, the urgent will obscure the important, and we will end that day and that week and that month without reaching our goals and feeling like we stood still.
How do you tell the difference between the important and the urgent? Because sometimes, like when you are just like in defense mode, sometimes it could be like hitting us right in the head and we don't realize it. We're getting like the 2 mixed up.
Yeah, you do get the 2 mixed up. I think for me, the important is tied to my vision for my kids, my vision for my marriage, my vision for my business, my vision for, whatever in my future, my finances. The important is tied to that because it's often longer range. and it's you know, it has tactics along the way to get there, but it's the bigger picture of my life. I believe so much in vision. You have to have a vision for your life, and then we break that down. The urgent, I often find, what's interesting, it's not that we can ignore it. I mean, we're not going to just completely ignore the urgent, but a lot of times the urgent is where we can get help. And we don't ask for it, but we should. And I'll give you a small, like, here's a small example, example. Urgent is there are no groceries in the house, right? It's not really, it's not that it's not important, but it's more urgent. And the time that it takes to go do that and what's involved in that. And I understand, by the way, sometimes that's relaxing pre-COVID. Pre this, I think, because I remember even after having my kids, I would go to the grocery store and I was like, oh my God, can I stay here for 10 hours? Right?
You can't get me out of the grocery store once I'm there. That's why I don't do the grocery shopping.
Right? I mean, but now going anywhere has a different, but here's an example of what's urgent. That's urgent, but do you really have time? I mean, Jenny, right now, if I tell you, you need to go grocery shopping. And you know what, Jenny? It's going to take you 2.5 hours. And you're going to go in and you're going to try to get it together. What do you need? You're going to fill up this huge basket. Then you're going to unload the basket on the thing. Then you're going to put it back in the bags, put them back in the basket. Then you're going to go to your car, unload the basket in the back of your car. Then you're going to drive home and unload this into your house. You know where I'm getting. Yeah. And then you're going to put it in the kitchen. Then you're going to take it out of the bags, put it away. Okay. And right now, all these other things you're ignoring. So here's an example. I'm not saying that everyone should do this, but it's an example where the urgent is where you get help. So you, A, have someone else do it. B, you do pickup at Wegmans. Yes, are you going to pay 10% more? But what is the trade-off? You know, we say, oh, I'm not a good mom if I don't do it. Or someone's cooking my dinners and I freeze them. Oh, that doesn't make me a good mom. You know, I'm an Italian, not me, but and I gotta cook, right? I gotta cook. But
I'm putting Italian women to shame right now because I don't do that either.
Okay, but you could. If you know you could. I heard you. You know you could. But you know, it's that like I should be doing that, right? Like I should be all of that to my family. And that's an example, even in our businesses, there are things, I'm such an entrepreneur, I'm such a type A, that I'm going to do everything. And there are urgent things. I'm doing it. And I'm ignoring the important. Am I writing my book instead? No, I'm planning out my posts in Hootsuite for the month. Guess what? My media assistant should be doing that. You see? So the urgent calls to you, but the urgent is the thing that you can give to someone else often. Okay. I'm not talking about the 5-minute fixes. I'm talking about the stuff that's kind of hanging over your head. The important is on you. That's for you. That is for your vision.
So I'm hearing like the urgent should be outsourced.
Yes, whenever possible.
Okay. Whenever possible, the urgent should be outsourced. And we're not suggesting, you know, like, because not everyone has the means to get a housekeeper or an assistant or something like that. But that doesn't mean that eliminates your ability to reach out to family or friends.
Or children.
Or you know, now is a perfect time for them to learn how to be responsible at home. Right? My 9-year-old is like a master dishwasher unloader. We did not know that before. I was like, I don't have time, and you're not going to have anything to eat off of if you don't unload the dishwasher.
Right.
You know, absolutely. I think now is a really good opportunity to be able to instill in those values or those important things in our children as well.
Yeah, and I don't mean at all to indicate that you know everybody can afford to surround ourselves with whatever, but that help is there now. You just don't see it.
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
And sometimes we don't see it because of our thought process, right? Like I belong to a few like mom support groups because I like to kind of get in there, see what people are posting about, kind of get into the psychology of like the psyche of like women, you know, and the things that they post about. And I see a lot of like resentment, especially right now, resentment towards husbands.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think to myself, we as women have this thing like, well, they should just know I need help. Like I shouldn't have to tell them, or if I have to tell them, like they don't really want to do it because if they wanted to do it, they would just do it. But like men really think differently than women.
Yeah,
they really do. So, you know, we need to be giving our husbands, like ladies, I don't mean to be giving like marital advice, but like, I just see it all the time that we take for granted that we don't need to communicate certain things. And we really do. Like women, we just feel like we need to take care of this and that and the other thing or whatever. And then we start to feel resentful because we think our husband thinks the same way that we do. And really, they're happy to help if we just verbalize, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. It's true. And even our friends the same way, because how many times have you said to somebody, well, let me know if I can do anything for you, and that person's never going to reach out to you, even though they're suffering, because when is the last time you really reached out to somebody to say, you know what, I need help. Can you go pick up my kid at school? Like, really, you're like, can you go do this? Can you go do that? Those things that we should do for each other when we can.
Right.
But while we offer it, or we say, we don't actually ask for it. So this idea that we're Wonder Woman, this idea that if all the plates spin, that's when we can feel good about our day, it's a lie. And I think we believe, this is another thing I'm passionate about, is that we believe so many lies about ourselves, and we put on expectations that are rooted in lies. And so we're not free. We're not free. We're constantly beating ourselves over the head, and we're constantly feeling less than, even though we may be the most confident, self-assured women. It's not a lack of confidence. It's a I didn't do it. And I think, Jenny, you might have said it before. You said it a different way, but where I fell short, or I wasn't so great there, and that's where we focus, isn't it? We
100%. Yeah. Always on where we come up short is where the focus is, and that's often. I mean, as much as I love a good mommy blog and a meme as much as anybody else, like they either recently, like they're either incredibly self-deprecating, like, oh, well, sucked again today. Like my kid watched 10 hours of Peppa Pig or whatever, when like all of us are either inwardly screaming, like, I did that and I didn't feel like I sucked until just now, but now I do.
Yeah.
Or it is, like this very interesting, like my husband goes to work all day and I'm home and he's an idiot kind of, which is so bizarre to me. I mean, being married doesn't make a mind reader, right? And yes, we definitely think differently. Men and women for sure do, but no one can read your mind. Like if we don't actually communicate what we are feeling and experiencing and expressing the fact that, hey, wait a minute, no human person can actually do all of this at 100%. All of these categories, no one is able to do. And I just feel like we need to be a lot more honest that way in our like interactions with other people personally, how we represent ourselves, particularly online, because this is our main hub of interaction and community right now. We have to be particularly careful of how we are talking about how we're all experiencing this right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, I would purposely, if you were doing that pie chart, I would purposely make one of the pies be unplug, because we don't do it. We don't see the value in it, because if you have 10 minutes, you're gonna get something done. Oh, I found 10 minutes. And we were not meant to have, this is my phone, to have the conversation of the world in our back pocket 24/7. Now, let's be honest, all those things about, put down your phone and all the shaming. I mean, let's be honest, we're not getting away from it that easily. I think that just adds that, and the whole, you'll never know the last time you read them a book baloney, or the last bath you get. We do it to each other with this emotional pressure, right? That you have to savor every minute, and then you need to turn your phone off and all this. So there's this guilt. But I do think it's a category that says unplug. What does that mean to you? Maybe it's self-care. Maybe you title it self-care. It's the last thing. If I added that to your pie chart right now, I'd be surprised if either of you put more than 10% or 20% satisfaction with that. But yet our power, our seat of power, our energy, our brilliance, our intelligence, our creativity, our ability to nurture, our ability to be who we're supposed to be, our ability to bring our purpose and gifts to the world is based in how well we do self-care.
Can I tell you something? I like super struggled with all of this until COVID. Like I feel like I'm in like reverse, go figure, from like the rest of the world. Like before COVID, I felt like I could just not be going as fast as the rest of the world, right? And then when COVID happened, I felt like I don't need to go fast. It's like it like gave me a it was like I had permission to start doing those things.
Yeah.
So
Well, at least in March, maybe in March and April. But now, how are you feeling now, though? Because now you've got the virtual learning, and you're trying to do your business. I mean, that's a
it
lot.
is what it is. And I got to
Yeah.
be honest. And like, it's not because you're on our show like that I'm talking to you right now, but it really has a lot to do with what I've learned from you.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I've had many mentors in my life, and they've always been men, like business mentors, and I've always, and there was always just something that never felt comfortable because men operate in a different headspace and they operate with different responsibilities, right? Like I talked to one of my mentors the other day. I love him to death. He's a man. And I was like, oh, I'm starting, virtual learning. And he's like, oh, I miss those days. You're going to miss them. I'm like, you never had to stay home and do virtual learning. And he's like, true. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even think of those things when they're giving advice to a woman. Like they don't even think to, like, you know what I mean? So the conversations that I've had with you, Elizabeth, about where I am in my business and I want to go in this direction, like you speak to me in my language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's why like things like this are so important for women to plug into. And I'm not saying like drown out the men, because a few minutes ago I just said it's important to communicate with our spouses and realize that we like speak through different microphones and hear through different color, hearing aids or whatever, right? But as far as like when you're not feeling right with yourself and getting mindset coaching from another woman that understands what you're going through, it's like, it's completely different. So I'm kind of getting on a tangent, but a few months ago when I had that conversation with you, like that stayed with me because in that moment when I applied it, I started feeling peace. And the fact that I was feeling peace from getting off so many years of not feeling peace, it was like, I'm protecting this peace. This piece is more precious to me than feeling like I have to have everything running on all cylinders. This piece to me is more important than feeling like I have to bring that 80% to 100. Like screw that shit. You know what I mean?
Peace is everything, you guys. Peace is worth protecting to the nth degree once you find it. But one thing that's interesting, Jess, about that is because when I talk to men, and it's not that I don't coach men, I do, but when I talk to them, we don't talk about seasons of life. When I talk to women, we talk about seasons and honoring the season you're in. And because we want to do everything, we tend not to pay attention to the season. And everything in life is timing.
So we get that coaching. Emerald, I see that you wrote something. We're gonna read that in a second. So us women get that wisdom and that mindset coaching from another woman, but then it's our job to communicate that to a man. And I think that the more that we do that, men are gonna start going through those seasons of life with us.
Yes, exactly. And then they can learn what that really means. It's not that they don't go through them, but it's much different. They don't understand that. There's a time for us to be certain things, and then that changes, right? We evolve in a way that they don't.
Let's look at Emerald's question. She said, Elizabeth, do you agree that time management is another word for those who are not disciplined with their time? I hear other life coaches say that when you're trying to manage your time, it's because you're just not disciplined. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't use the word discipline very much. I just don't. I find it's a bashing word, and it's a self-deprecating kind of another, like, I wasn't very disciplined today. I do see it. And, if you step back, I mean, someone who's very disciplined, that's usually a sign of an ability to be successful. They do these studies with young kids that if they can delay gratification, that later in life, they tend to do better, right? They're not going to reach that.
Test.
What's that?
The marshmallow test.
The marshmallow test. I was just going to say it exactly. So I do think there's something to that, right? But delayed gratification is not, I don't think it's the same thing. I think what it is a matter of priorities. And again, it's, if you're going to use the word discipline with time management, I feel like I'm in an office space and it doesn't fit me. So rather I say, what is it I need to accomplish today that fits within the vision for where I need to be tomorrow? I always remember that where you are today is what you thought and did yesterday.
And that's what Emerald said on the show when she said she doesn't keep a schedule with her boys. She does homeschooling. She doesn't keep a schedule with her boys. They have a routine.
Right. She was very clear. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. So where do I want to be tomorrow? If I'm always, and I think we should always be future looking, but tomorrow's enough sometimes. I think we've learned through this pandemic, it's enough to just say, where do I want to be tomorrow, right? And so if you look at it that way, then you back into your day and you say, well, what do I want to accomplish in these areas? It's not really like time management. It's intentional. It's like managing my intentions, right? Because time management, it feels so limited. I feel like TikTok, 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 TikTok.
And a lot of times you can't control it. There's too many outside factors.
Yes. And that's the other thing too, is that we have to be flexible because we are a life force, not just for ourselves, but for our children, for our family. And that doesn't allow you to get up and structure your time. It's a really masculine idea. And again, no offense to the men, but it's sort of a 1950s corporate masculine way of looking at life, that you can actually discipline your time and manage your time in these quadrants. And I, for one, as type A as I am, and as much as I get to, I've never found that to work for me, ever. I don't even like the language of it.
No, it'll just drive you insane.
Yep.
What about like when you're you want to get something done in an hour, and then like for the first 20 minutes, your internet doesn't work?
That's called resistance, Jess. That's called resistance. So any good thing you do, you're going to get resistance. I start laughing when that stuff happens. Like, well, obviously what I'm doing here is very important. It's called resistance, and expect it. Expect resistance for any good thing that you need to accomplish. And you have to laugh and push through it and adjust your expectations. By the way, that's what most of the time we're feeling bad about, is we didn't meet an expectation. Whose expectation? Usually ours. We think it's someone else's, but it's ours.
I love that you said that you laughed about it, because that's exactly what I did. Like so we have our kids are from the first one to the oldest. I got 3.5 years. I got a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So the last one was finally going to school this year, and I was like, I'm gonna have all the kids out of the house.
No.
Like, I'm finally gonna get her breath. No. Now I got all 3 back in the house.
No.
So it was something I had to laugh about, because like I could have cried about it and said, this screwed up my plan.
Yeah. No, you have to laugh. Yeah, you have to laugh about it, and we have to just embrace those kind of things. Like, all right, what am I going to do now, right? And I know that you've had to make certain choices. You sent a picture out, or you put it on Facebook, of you trying to work, and you had this virtual and this virtual, and I'm looking at that, I'm like, oh my God, that is not. I mean, I don't even, and you have to laugh, right? Because it is resistance. But sometimes we have to look at those things and say, sometimes we're being told, pause, be in this moment, do your best in this moment. Don't give up. Listen, never give up the vision, never give up the dreams, never give up the purpose, but allow the, I want to say, like, the tempo of your life to adjust to what's going on, because that's what makes us good mothers, wives, friends, sisters, and daughters, is because we have the intuition to react to tempo. And we don't just go 90 miles an hour every day, no matter what. We would hurt everyone around us, including ourselves. So you reacted to the tempo. You laughed about it. You're probably very frustrated, and you adjusted to the tempo of the music. That's what you have to do.
Absolutely.
So just I'm just going to make sure that we have everything all together to bring it. The phrases or the language that I've heard is this idea of protecting our peace, right? That our peace needs to be protected. In order to do that, or when we attempt to do that, we're going to experience resistance. And that we're going to have to fight against that by making sure that we know what's important to us, emphasizing our values, what's important in our values in that pie chart, and keeping that as a visual reminder at like the forefront to make sure that we're able to apply all of those tools. Did I get that right?
Oh, so that, yeah, absolutely. And it's really, again, I'm going to use the word vision again. And even, vision is a big word, but it's something that allows you to exhale when things don't go perfectly, because I have a vision for the way my children, my boys will grow into men, and my daughter will grow into a loving woman. I have a vision for that. If they're just, when they do the dishes, they all come out greasy, is that, like, frustrates me that they're not doing the dishes right. But my vision for them, I mean, it's a thing that'll drive you crazy, right? But in the fact that their room is a mess, but my vision for them never changes. So if I keep my eyes up, and I keep my eyes up on the vision, I deal with the best of it. It's all the tempo of where we are, and focusing on the vision for your life. Guess what happens? It comes to pass. But in the moment, in the frustration and all of that, we feel like we've lost it. We haven't lost it. Keep your eyes up.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for making sure that that's clear, because we don't need permission. We don't, but often that's what it requires for
We don't,
women
but
to
we
really
do,
value
right? Like
themselves.
we shouldn't have
Right.
to need it, but we do. And that's actually the next thing that I want to lead into with Elizabeth. So first of all, one of the principles that Elizabeth talked to us about, making that pie chart, that's in her book called Master Your Mindset, The Master's Way. So if you haven't got that book yet, I highly recommend you go and check that out. It's helped me immensely. The other thing is that Elizabeth has something coming up called Mindset Reset.
Mhm.
And I've talked to you guys about, her coaching. And, we're talking about some principles that when, a group of women are talking about, it's like, oh, that sounds so easy. Like, why didn't I think of that? And I'm just going to be easy and breezy. But this is actual hard work. This is actually
Yeah.
like, I've been a
Mhm.
student of this mindset stuff that Elizabeth has been teaching me for a while. And it's taken me a lot of practice. So I think that, anyone listening right now, if you are struggling with that, and, one of the priorities that you have going into 2021, like you've had enough and you want to get that peace, definitely, check out Elizabeth's Mindset Reset, because with all the craziness that's going on, this is actually the perfect time to do something like that. So
Yeah.
Elizabeth, can you tell us a little bit more about the program, when it is, how it works?
Yeah. I will. Thank you. And I really appreciate that. So it's 100% virtual. We tried to do this is the third attempt because it was in person last March, in person in June. We
Talk
finally
about
said,
making plans.
clearly we're not meant to do this in person. And so the nice thing is, you're able to lower the price and open it to the world, really. So listen, here's what's really cool about it. It's called Mindset Reset 2020, and you can go to mindsetreset2020.com. So it's October 10th, and it'll be that day, but it will be there for 6 months. So you can watch it, listen to it 100 times whenever you want. You don't have to be there that day. But it's not just me. I'll be teaching in addition to Coach Lamont Odoms. He's amazing. This guy will preach you happy. He's going to teach about reclaiming your mind. Because remember, at the end of all of this and at the beginning of all of this, what's the one thing we have control over? The only thing we have control over is our mind and the way we direct it. So when all of this that we discussed, it all starts here. This is what we have to deal with. So he's going to talk about reclaiming your mind. I've got a body language expert on talking about your head trash. She's incredible. She is incredible, Lisa Mitchell. And then a guy who happens to be in Florham Park, Rich Keller, who I'm working with him right now. I love him. I actually hired him, which when a coach hires another coach, you need to listen, because we're all sort of like, we look at each other like, okay, you got, do you know what you're doing? So he does your one word, and he helps you figure out what is the one word that defines you. And in getting there, we can't get there if we have head trash. We can't get there if our mind isn't working right. I'm going to talk about fear, because fear is literally pervasive in the air everywhere. And how do we deal with fear? And then at the end, I'm going to give you tools and truth and talk about vision and wrap it up to kind of give you, action items to move forward. So it's this day of like pushing you to think about what's been holding you back, to take that pause to say, what do I need to work on? What limiting beliefs do I have? Why can't I get over this thing I've been dealing with forever? Not why isn't my life perfect? Not because we're not looking for that. Why am I not dealing with this well? Why can't I seem to get past this issue? And you know what? At the end of the day, you need truth. You need to tell yourself the truth. You need to know the truth about yourself, and you need tools for the rest of your life. Because as long as you're breathing and on this earth and trying to pursue your purpose, you will deal with mindset issues. And there will be things that you deal with, and believe me, you'll get past them. And that's great. And then another one comes, and then another one comes. So it's like training your brain. It's getting that training like an athlete does. This is for everyone to train their brain. So that 2021, here we go. It's time, guys. I'm telling you, 2021 is going to be an amazing year. I can feel it. We're going to get past a bunch of this baloney. We are. And we have an opportunity to be the ones leading that, no matter what the world looks like. You know what? People went through World War II, difficult time, right? People have been through pandemics before, difficult time. We're not giving up. We're not going to give into this stress, this pressure, this, questioning ourselves. This is a time to say, I'm stepping up. Like Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going, because guess what? You're going to get through the other side. So I'm here to give you tools and truth to do it. So anyway, Mindset Reset 2020. I'm a little bit passionate about it, just a little bit. So go there, sign up now, be there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So Emerald said, Elizabeth, I would love to use your book for our organization. Do you have a tool for discussion I can use for my organization? I think the book actually has
so the book has a ton of exercises in it. And there are a lot of them that I have now that aren't even in the book because I've developed them since the book was published a year ago. So obviously there's another book coming. But yeah, Emerald, just reach out to me. And yeah, it's the brain is to the body, the mind is to the soul. Yeah. So my whole focus on mindset is that it's spirit, soul, and body, and you cannot disconnect it. So the book takes you through first understanding what that is and why it's all interconnected. So just reach out to me. I can do Zooms with organizations. We can go through the tools together. There's a lot in the book, but there's so much more that's not in the book. And maybe if you go to, Mindset Reset, you'll find some things in there that you want to use. So just reach out to me. I can help you.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks,
Amazing.
Elizabeth. All right, guys. Well, as always, it was a pleasure to have Elizabeth with us, give us some really awesome things to think about. I hope everyone that's been listening is recharged and ready to let some things go and let some peace in. And sign up for Mindset Reset 2020, right?
Yeah.
And
buy the book.
Yes, and get the book. And we will see you next time on the She Interviews.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.